Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. And this is Monday, February 7th, 2022. It is Super Week. Well, that's what they're calling it. The Super Bowl on Sunday. So we get a week of Radio Row and a week of nonsense, a week of blah, 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 blah. I mean, I don't know how many ways you can skin this cat when it comes to this Super Bowl, but they'll find a way. There's like 450 props over at the Westgate Superbook, our friends, right here, as you can see my backdrop. Go say hi to John Murray, Mr. Sherman, and the rest of the gang over there, as they will show you to the window with a bazillion ways to play that game. And last week, I thought it was real interesting where Scotty made up a great point, or brought up a great point, from one of the experts, and the fact that he's got almost 50 pieces of action on the game and not one was on the side or total. And that side yesterday at Caesars or the Nugget, somewhere on the strip, hit 3.5 for like 25 minutes and then went right back to 4 and then 4.5. So the Jedi mind tricks working again. But I hope everyone had a great weekend. We finished the week, the ECSI VIPs 4-1 to end the week, and then we lost on our action parlay. Tried to get a little cute, and I'm glad we lost the NBA game because I would have out-tricked ourselves there, but that's for another day. So without further ado, let's bring in the man from the Palm Tree State. I'm wearing the Chicago Cubs shirt that my daughter got when she went to Chicago last year. I'll be on with the boys today later, my boy Riley and Colton. So I figured I'd, throw a jab. I think one's west side, one's east side. So whoever I'm supporting, they'll like me, and whoever I'm not supporting, they won't like me. But anyways, without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Good morning, Scotty.
Jeff, how are you today, brother? It's Monday.
Yeah, I survived. Yesterday was a bleep show. To all the parents out there that are taking your sons and daughters to college, university trips, you have to show some patience. Scotty, my first daughter's wrapping up UConn. Now, I did the Duke, North Carolina, Wake Forest tour with her. We got it cut short from a hurricane. Taking the girls 100 times to BU, took her to UConn, and the mom took her to Penn State. She chooses UConn. We took the youngest now, who's getting ready, to Syracuse a handful of weeks ago. That was about 6 hours up, 6 hours back. Took her to Merrimack, which is about an hour 45 from my home. It's about a half hour Boston, small private school. D1 athletics. They just played UConn in hockey over the weekend, and they're offering $28,000 a year for just an academic scholarship. And we got there, and it was kind of neat. Real small campus, cheerleaders everywhere. The kids are out. It was nice. You get into the auditorium, coffee, donuts. The kids go one way. The parents talk wherever. We go into the auditorium. We sit for a half hour. The dean talks. The actual kids talk. She's a health science major. We get to the door, to the classroom, and we sit for 20 minutes, and then we actually go to another class where the professor talks with some students for 15 minutes, and then we're going to get the tour and all this. It was supposed to be a 4-hour thing, which we knew was long. Well, the daughter looks at the mom and says, "I've seen enough. I don't like it." And we leave. So the old kick in the you know what, I was just like, you are kidding me, right? So that's my vet, not for just today. That's for all the parents out there because it's out of our hands. It's out of our hands.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think college is really important, but I've said this before, and I'll say it again to any of the young people that are out there. If you're going to go to school, you don't have to know exactly what you're going to do at the end of school, but don't waste your education. You know how many people that have degrees that are working retail, man? And I don't mean that in a negative connotation, so don't take it that way. But you went and spent all this money to go to school, and you're not ahead of anybody else that didn't go to school. So when you go to school, there needs to be a purpose for why you go, and then what you come out of school, you need to be able to use that to get to where you want to go. Otherwise, don't go. Because if you don't go, the experience you gain by just bouncing around from job to job to job to job to job until you get to somewhere is more meaningful than going to school and not getting anything out of it. So I always thought there was a specific purpose for why people should go to school and why they shouldn't. And if they didn't know what they were going to do, that was okay. But when they came out, they better damn well have an idea of what they want to do.
And I'm a little disappointed on this end in regards to I've talked till I'm blue in the face that the keys to success in school, colleges is, at your sophomore, junior year, you got to start marketing yourself. You got to really start connecting to peoples that are going to help you further down the line. Now, for my daughter's sake, she decided to not just go for her major, she wanted to also end up with a minor as well. So she ended up going for the 5th year. And because of the pandemic, there was no problem. A lot of kids, a lot of classes were not available. And I'm hitting her over the head saying, hey, do me a favor. You got connections in the baseball department. You got connections in the hockey department. I don't care if you go out, talk to Gino if you want to carry some bags for the semester for the basketball team. You need to get into one of these programs and get this on your resume, because when you go into your grad school, your doctorate and stuff, you want businesses to be paying for your schooling because they want to mold you to what they need for you in the next 5, 10, 12 years. But as you said, if you're just going to sit there and play skip to my Lou and get 4 or 5 years of education and not do the marketing end of it, you lost.
Well, I think that the best way I can say this is that the youth today doesn't understand the value of competition because everybody's been given the award when they play in Little League and all that stuff. It's not about, I don't mean that negatively. I just mean that's just the way society's become. But when you get into the job world, man, it's dog eat dog. And if you're not aggressive and more competitive than the next guy, then the truth of the matter is the next guy's going to beat you. And if you get beat in life, that's not where you want to be. You want to be the beater, not the beatee. But at the same time, you also want to root for everybody to win. That's how it kind of works. You root for everybody to win, but you need to be better than everybody. And the only way to be better than everybody is be competitive, and be competitive against yourself, not against them per se, but put yourself in positions where those windows of opportunity are open for you and not for others.
Well, we've had one full week of blah blah blah. The Pro Bowl was yesterday, or should we call it the
tag football, man?
The two-handed touch, whatever it is. I didn't watch 1 second of it. I refused to. The one all-star game that I used to thoroughly enjoy was the MLB. There was a sense of American League versus National League. I mean, you got guys throwing 100 miles an hour at you. The home run derby has even gotten so stupid at this point. I get it. It's fun for the first half hour. I just back to the old days. It was Hank Aaron's birthday a couple of days ago, and they showed him a picture of one of the gifs on social media was him in the real home run derby back in those days. and taking a few swings. It's just gotten so commercialized. That's all, Scott. But we're a week away. They call this Super Week. Our buddy Dave Sharapan and his crew's on Radio Row, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's out in LA and Tinseltown getting ready to have a great time. We're going to have our own show where we talk about the props, where we're leaning, where we're going. I said it earlier last week. I'll say it again. I'm standing with a Rams plus 215 money line right now to win the Super Bowl. They're currently minus 200 on the money line. Under over stuck at 48.5. I'm a firm believer when it comes to the Super Bowl. Very simply, this one of those numbers that has been moving is going to be a loser all the way. Meaning the total was actually 51, and it's all the way down to 48.5. So this total will go 51, 52 and over, or the Rams at 3 or up to 4.5, where the Rams win by 1 or 2, or Cincinnati wins outright. That's where my head always is in the Super Bowl. I mean, we were at pregame last week, and you're already looking at over $2 million in there. Quick thoughts on a week before the game.
Well, it might be of benefit for you to know that I've already played out the game. I've got the things I like to do. I can talk to you about this game however you want to. I got the props ready to go. So we can do that show whenever you like. But that said, there's a couple of things I can't get out of my head. The first thing is if the line is the way the line is, right? I mean, the line is what, -4 or whatever it is. And that means you're telling me that on a neutral field, the Rams are -1. That's not right. So that number is not right. So the Rams are better than -1 over the Bengals. So in my opinion, there's a lot of hype going on here that people are buying into this Joe Burrow kid. And I get it. He's a good kid and all that stuff. I mean, I get it. So that's number one, that I can't shake that. Number two, Jeff, these teams score 30 points a game. Why is the number 48? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I get all that. And this defense that the Rams are going to put out there this week will be the best defense that the Cincinnati Bengals have faced all season. They haven't faced a top 5 defense. Not at all. They've only faced a couple top 15 defenses because their schedule has been pretty weak. So what happens when Chase is taken away, and who are they gonna have? So I get it. You know, there's other players in line for them, and you know, Higgins and all those other guys they can use. But do you really win with your second best player and your third best player and your fourth best player if they're not like all pro type players? I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm sure we're going to find out. And the idea of calling this Super Week is retarded because this game is not a super game.
You know, a couple things in my head here, Scott. When we go back to the Rams versus the Patriots, everyone was expecting a shootout, and it was probably one of the worst games. Super Bowl. I mean, if you like defense and stuff, but it was like watching paint dry. It was ugly. Second of all, you know, go back to the Titans versus Cincinnati when Burrow got sacked 9 times. Well, they were able to put lipstick on a pig, and somehow he wasn't sacked against Kansas City. So I think everyone's forgetting that. And the fact of the matter is, I know last time Von Miller was in the Super Bowl, he wreaked havoc. I'm not saying he's going to have that type of game, but the fact that you got Von Miller, you got Donald, you know, you talked about, you know, Chase, and we know Ramsey will be on Chase. Listen, I'm a big T. Higgins guy. I think Tyler Boyd is also not respected. I don't think Azuma is going to be able to play. When he got injured, it sounded like this was going to be a long, long out there. So again, I like the story. I think Joe's been a hell of a story. I've been comparing it to Dan Marino. Marino got to the Super Bowl his second year. The Dolphins faced the Niners. They lost and they never got back. And It's a home game for the Rams early and often. I mean, listen, I have no reason to get off a plus 215 ticket. I mean, if you want to get cute and creative and take the Bengals plus the 4.5 and try to get a double scoop, God bless you. When I'm getting 2 to 1, 215 to 1, I'm very comfortable where I am right now. I don't need, I'll have some props that we're going to send out and stuff, but hey, listen, if Joe wins, God bless him. What a story. Hats off. I want to see the story when Stafford wins this. That's the guy that I really want to see get a ring, because that guy's, been through hell and back. And for him, if he has a chance to win a ring, I think would be pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good quarterback. So, and I'm not saying Burrow's not a good quarterback. To get to your numbers, ESPN does one of their guys does a statistic, and it's called pass block win rate and pass rush win rate, and everybody loves those numbers, and I love those numbers. The Cincinnati Bengals are number 30 out of 32 teams in pass block win rate. The Los Angeles Rams are number 1 in football in pass rush win rate. So who do you think is going to win that battle? I don't think it's going to be Cincinnati.
They were sneaky good last week, by the way, getting to pressure. But if on Mahomes, I'm having flashbacks to last Super Bowl, though. No left tackle, no right tackle. I'm not saying Cincinnati doesn't have that. Don't get me wrong. But Mahomes on 1 foot was running around like his head cut off. And I think it's like one of those, listen, the first quarter's always usually been a throwaway quarter. It's just like teams feeling each other out. And then you get all your scoring in the second and the fourth quarter. Again, we'll have all week to talk about this. I'll be interested to see, what your numbers say. We'll have a handful of props, and we'll be fielding questions throughout. So with that said, I want to shout out to our loyal followers, Mr. Lucky. I will hopefully confirm my ETA and where I'll be for the first 2 weekends of March Madness in Vegas. Rumor has it that some people want me out for the full 3 weeks, and I don't know if I could. I've done a 3-week stint in Vegas a couple times, and it's fun. Don't get me wrong. If I knew baseball was definitely going to start, I might push for it this year. But I don't know if we'll be ready. So we'll have that. Shout out to my buddy Billy Hewlin for Louisiana, Marty Lowe, all our Twitch followers, our YouTube subscribers. Hope everyone's weekend was good there. To the games today, Scotty, I'm seeing 5 games on the NBA slate. There's a boatload of college games, a couple marquee games, and NHL hockey is back with 2 games on the docket. With that said, early this morning, any NBA games catching your eye right now?
Yeah, actually, there are. One of them is Toronto, Charlotte. Toronto's been playing really great. I mean, they are on a win streak of the last five games in a row, and Charlotte's been playing like dog snot. They've lost 4 straight games, and there's a big rest advantage here. Or I shouldn't say big; it's a marginal rest advantage for Toronto. So the line is Toronto is what, -2, -2.5, or something like
Yes.
that. Kind of going up right from the beginning of the start there. They were a 1-point favorite. My numbers come out, and it tells me that Charlotte should actually be the favorite in the game. But that doesn't mean I'm going to play that side. One of the things that I think people kind of have to kind of watch for here is Charlotte is Toronto, they're 1-4 in their first away game of the series against the spread. And that's where they fall today. And that's not a good spot to be in, especially if you're a favorite on the road. But I'm looking at that game more or less as an under, and everybody's betting it over. What is it? Oh no, now it's starting to drop. It started 225.5, went to 226. Now people are going, oh, let's bet it under. So it's 224. So my numbers showed 219. So I'm looking at that game as an under. I haven't wagered it yet, but that's kind of what I'm looking at. Another one I'm looking at, and this is going to be, one of those, oh my God, games. It's Chicago +8 today against Phoenix. I think the game opened at 6.5 or something like that. Now it's 8. I think that's too many points. I need what I'm looking for here is Levine. He's questionable, game time decision. I don't know whether he's going to play or whether he's not going to play. They're a different team when he doesn't play. So if he doesn't play, I'm not going to be that interested in it. But my number shows that should be like a 3-point game, not an 8-point game, especially the way Chicago can play. Now, that team's burned me 8 million times so far this year, but I'm looking at that one. And the last one is another one of those, oh my God, games. This is OKC against Golden State. I think 12.5 is the number that I saw. 12.5, I think, is too high, but not by too much. I mean, my number comes out to 10. But what I'm looking at in this scenario is Golden State's 5-6 as double-digit favorites, and they are only 3-4 the first game of a road trip, and not just a one-game road trip. I'm looking at it as a series of games, and then OKC is 7-3 at home the first game off of a road trip. So I kind of like the idea that that's a pretty good matchup here, and I think that OKC is not getting a lot of respect, and they shouldn't probably. But at the same time, they've been covering points and covering numbers, and they've been running a pretty good offense lately. So I think that I might be that might be the strongest one of the leans that I've got going on right now, just pending what happens in the afternoon.
Yeah, we'll obviously be back this afternoon for the closing bell at 4:30, where we'll see where these lines move. You were spot on some of these moves that you were talking about. You know, Toronto opened at 1, now 2. That total was 225.5. Now 224. You can get it 224 and a hook at South Point right now. Phoenix went from 6.5 to 8. And Golden State 12 to 12.5. So the total on that one, 212.5 that it opens, now down to 211 at Westgate. So they're on the under there as well. Be interesting to see too where that New York Utah number moves. You know, it's funny on gambling Twitter or listening to the wrath of the Knicks. I swear, when everyone's on the Knicks, they get blown out, and when no one expects them to win, it's like Bernard King and Pat Ewing come back to play, and just the juggernaut. So onto the college slate today. Like I said, there's a boatload. There's not 158 games like on Saturday. I'm just going to pick and choose to verbally talk about, and when myself and Scotty do come back today at the closing bell at 4:30, set your notifications on. We'll see where some of these have moved. 5 o'clock, there's 2 5 o'clock games. Rotation number 871, 872. NC Wilmington at Hofstra. And some of the VIP crew sent me out a nice little note and said, Jeff, did you apply to NC Wilmington and not get accepted? Did you have a vendetta against NC Wilmington? And the fact of the matter is they had won like 12, 13 in a row. They were undefeated in conference play. And in 1 week, we thought both games against Northeastern, the numbers smelled fishy. Well, they won those 2 too. But we were able to finally get them back last Saturday against Elon. They traveled to Hofstra. Hofstra opened at 7.5, now down to 6 or 6.5, depending upon where you're shopping. 72% of the bets, 83% of the money coming in on Wilmington right now. That obviously has caught our eyes. You know, Wilmington coming off a loss. Usually, like in baseball, I like to talk about streaks. If you win 7 in a row, 8 in a row, and you lose, a lot of the sharp guys come back and say you lose again. And that's usually what happens after a long winning streak. So I'm going to be eyeing Hofstra right now to see where that number goes. The other 5 o'clock game, rotation number 873, 874. Charlotte at Florida International. Charlotte coming off a big win on Saturday. The line opened up -1, now a pick. There is still some -1s out there. 58% of the bets, 87% of the money coming in on Charlotte. Again, they're riding the Niners, and a pick at our friends at Circa, but -1 and sticking there. Where else can they go? What used to be a hell of a game, they're not saying it will be tonight. Rotation number 881, 882. Virginia at Duke. Duke coming off a thumping. They just beat down Mr. Hubert Davis and the North Carolina Tar Heels. I don't think he's too happy and wondering why he took that job. But Duke opens up 12.5-point favorites, now 12. Under over opened at 127, now 128 and 129. Duke's on a mission. It's Coach K's last year. We'll be hearing a lot of that when it comes to bracketology and the tournament. How far will Duke make it, and how far will you have them on your bracket? Rotation number 885, 886, James Madison at Drexel, opened at 5.5, down to 4 now. 56% of the bets, 57% of the money, all on JMU, and the number is rolling with them from 5.5 to 4. Good game here, 889, 890 on your rotation. George Mason at Richmond. Richmond opened at 8, is still at 8, and that's even with 85% of the bets, 91% of the money on George Mason. A classic line freeze there. And go to the last 2 out of 3 here. 9 o'clock start, 907, 908 on your rotation. Kansas at Texas. Kansas absolutely laid the wood to Baylor on Saturday, a short favorite, and Baylor was the public trendy dog, and they laid the lumber. Here's a fun fact for you. Kansas has not lost back-to-back games at home since 1989. So remember that. They were coming off a loss at home where they never lose, and they just laid the lumber there. Texas opened up at 1.5-point favorites. Now Kansas 1.5-point favorites. Texas was a nice play for us on Saturday as they had a nice little beat down for us. Great second half. Their defense is phenomenal. They are offensively challenged, though. 62% of the bets, 59% of the money coming in on Kansas. A true flip there. Be seeing if that gets to 2. It's a good spot for Texas. I know they'll be playing some great defense. I just don't know if they have enough offense to get close to 70 today. They're going to need at least 65 to get there. So, and 9 o'clock, 909, 910 on the rotation. Arizona at Arizona State. Arizona State played in a classic on Saturday, 3 overtimes against UCLA until finally falling. Arizona opened at 14, now 12. 52% of the bets, 75% of the money, all in on on Arizona State. Excuse me. That line's gone from 14 to 12 and dropping. It's 11.5 at Caesars. So, Scotty, close it up here for us so we can get the crew ready for the closing bell later this afternoon.
Yeah, well, I just think that when it's early like this, sometimes you can gauge whether you should make a play or whether you shouldn't. I think that the biggest thing that you want to do this week is whatever you hear on the radio and whatever you hear on TV, especially about the Super Bowl and this guy's fantastic year and all that stuff, is just throw it out. I mean, just throw it out, unless there's something there that is something about the game that you can utilize to handicap. Get rid of that information, because the influence of what you put into your brain and how you bet don't always compute. So get that influence out of there. I won't listen to nothing on Radio Road or none of that stuff. I find most of that stuff pretty boring. I do like to listen. I mean, I have MLB radio. I got satellite radio. I got MLB Network. I do the pay for the extras. I get every game. I love all of that. But that doesn't mean that I utilize any of it to get involved in certain things. And here's one thing you can listen to. Listen to coaches speak, because when coaches talk, they talk about the nuances of games, that how they win, and how they win sometimes you never thought of, and what statistics can matter. I remember listening to, I don't remember who it was, but it was last year. They were talking about You and I have had this conversation about baseball before. It's the sabermetric numbers against the whatchamacallit numbers, or how the StatCast numbers. And this guy was talking about ex-WOBA, right? And he was talking about how they use it. And I'm like, yeah, that makes a little bit of sense to me. It's not it's not necessarily a stat that's going to help you predict a game win, but it will be a stat that will help you predict the changing environment and culture of a game. So if a coach comes across and says something along those lines, that's something that you can use that nobody else can. So you got to pay attention to those kind of things, and not this guy had 17 yards per catch and blah, 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 blah. And nobody cares.
And I'll close with this, and it gets so obnoxious, and it just, for all the so-called experts out there on the big stages and the prop queens and the prop kings, okay, if I see one more person put their chest out on an over 7.5 receptions for Cooper Kupp, anytime touchdown for Cooper Kupp, anytime touchdown for Jamar Chase, yada, 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 I could give a rat's ass. Listen, these damn props are getting so obnoxious. There's not an over that no one doesn't love. Humor me. Anyone here that considers themselves a prop master, a prop puppet, whatever, give me a list of unders. Show me your eyes are. Okay? Humor me. Anyone can grab any prop and go over, because they're all, that's where you're going to play. And they're all jacked up, but you don't care. You don't care. Where the actual numbers state 6 catches, but you're playing over 7.5. Or the actual number is 89 yards. You're playing over 103 yards. You thought you got a great ticket. And guess what? You'll probably end up cashing, but you're on the wrong side. You and the other million people. Okay. So it's just comical where the public and the degens and the so-called experts on gambling Twitter flock to. And you got 50 props and 49 of them are the over, and you got heads. You got, of course, everyone's got the over on the national anthem, yada, yada, yada. So, don't waste our time. I listen, there's nothing against it. You want to have some fun, whatever, but it just gets obnoxious. That's my take on it, Scott.
Well, I think this way. So if you're making proposition bets, these should be plus money bets, period. If you're not making plus money bets, then you shouldn't be making them for the most part, because the most difficult thing about these proposition bets is finding out if you're actually getting a good line. How do you make your own line and then coming up with the number? I mean, you got to figure that out, because, so for example, if you're that guy that made 42 bets and he's got these proposition bets all out there, 10 to 1, 35 of those 42 bets are underdog bets, and 10 to 1, they're probably plus 200 or better on most of them. And the reason for that is it only takes a couple of those 42 bets to come in to pay for all of them. And that's the idea. The idea is to go have fun, put some stuff out there, but play the longer numbers and play the stuff that can and here's one, for example. Just this is one that I think people should play. And you mentioned it as we were talking about the game. Joe Burrow running around like chicken with his head cut off. If you remember right, he scored 1 or 2 touchdowns rushing the football in that game against Tennessee. I think if you pick him, and I wrote it down. Where's my number? Where's my card at? Here it is. If you took Burrow anytime touchdown, it's plus 550, dude. 550. You hit that, and you only play. Say you play five prop bets. You just paid for them all. If you don't hit any more. So, but that's the point. The point is find something like those things that you think have a realistic chance, and maybe he goes out and breaks his leg, and you never see him again for the whole night, and he doesn't get his number. But you know what? That's the whole point of doing the props is you don't want to go out there and bet a minus 115 or minus 105. What's the point of that? I mean, I don't get it.
I did see a neat one. A player will score 8 points on one drive. So in other words, they're going to get the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. And it was like plus 885 or something. It's those creative, those unique ones. Again, I'm not going to go through 430 props and send out 10 to the clients. And, I think what would be kind of neat, Scott, for our followers is if you and I, when we do the show, we put that list together and have it out there so they can have fun with it. And listen, I always talk about beer and pizza money. Okay. I talk about New Year's Eve as being amateur night out. And the Super Bowl is the same. Everyone crawls out of the woodwork. Everyone needs to have some action on the game. Okay. For me, I love the day after Monday. Why? Because the focal point is now on the college kids as you get closer to conference tournament and March Madness. Okay. Football's over. It's over. Okay. You're getting ready for the NBA All-Star game. Hockey's back. Okay. As you're getting closer to the season end and playoffs. Okay. It's one step closer to the MLB first pitch. It's one step closer to the Masters. Okay. So the point of the matter is have fun with the Super Bowl. Have some beer and pizza money. Get your squares for your pools and all that. Have a boatload of people. Or if you want to stay home by yourself with a couple family and friends, then be it. Have fun. It's not end all be all where you wake up Monday morning with a melon in this head and you owe the man 2 dimes and you don't even remember the second half of the game.
Yeah, it's my wife doesn't pay any attention to what I do with all this stuff. As much as I do this stuff and all that, she pays no attention. But she'll sit there and watch the damn Super Bowl for 2 reasons. One, she's in a contest at work where she's got a damn square, and 2, she wants to watch the commercials. So, whatever. I mean, I guess whatever it is that engages you into whatever it is, and think about that with the power of the NFL. They are so powerful at the marketing and all of that stuff. I wish baseball would follow.
I hope they're getting close. Heyman put something out. I retweeted, I think yesterday. They're supposed to have a couple of days of meetings, proposal, yada, 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 as we're less than 10 days actually to supposedly pitchers and catchers and reporting. I'm praying.
Well, that's not going to happen.
No. I understand that part of it, but the fact of the matter is you don't want to get to when they were supposed to be there and you're still at the table and you're worrying about when the next meeting is. There really needs from here on out to be some progress, because what's going to end up happening, Scotty, is you're going to be at the end of February. Everyone forgets February is the shortest month of the year. You cannot be in February, the last week of February, and still having negotiations and talks waiting. And then next thing is March. And then, here comes baseball. Yeah, we're going to push it back to May 1st. And we're going to have 148. The public, the people that are on the fence, the people that have one eye on it, one eye off of it, they don't want to hear that. They're within a whisper of just jumping ship and going to something else, Scotty. And this game.
Well, I think there's a lot of diehard baseball people out there still. I mean, especially as old guys. But that being said, I do think that this is a perfect time for them to level set and get the ideas right to develop this game to a point where it can be a mainstream event. I will say this too. This last season was definitely a adjustment for guys like me, meaning that, we're working off of years before and projections and looking at data and trying to balance the way things kind of work with projections and reality. And when you only had 60 game season, it was a holy hell to try to project what they were going to do on a full scale. So I'm very excited about being able to get back to a normalcy of the projections and so forth. And I think that that'll all play out a lot smoother this year.
Shout out again to Mr. Lucky. Everyone on social media, big thanks for all the support, all the trust, everything that you guys do. We thank you a bazillion times over. So myself and Scott will be back at 4:30 for the closing bell, but we want everyone here to have a blessed day. We want everyone here to enjoy Monday. Monday is the new start of a week. It's a new beginning. So if you had a rough week in the office last week, it's over. pull the Band-Aid, pay the man, and move on. You can't take the bad vibes, the bad juju into Monday. That's what I try to do and speak every day. It's a gift. We have 24 hours to make a difference. If you had a bad day, you can. If you're having a bad day right now, guys, step back, breathe, count to 10, reset. You can reset the bad day. You can do that. You don't have to say, well, shit, I'm having a bad day. The hell with it. Tomorrow's coming. Well, you still got 12 hours of this day. So make something happen. If you're having a bad day, breathe, count to 10, go run a quick lap around the office and reset. It's okay. But if you happen to be wagering before the closing bell, yeah, I know some of you are, and you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number there. Ask for help. Why? Because we care. Myself and Scott would like you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from Scotty at Webby 20 MLB, we wish everyone a great rest of the morning and afternoon. And come catch us at 4:30 for the closing bell. We will see you soon.